Primary Adepts or his 2 Sorin Lord of Innistrad, as well as the creatures he can get back. 2 Blood Baron of Viscopa, 2 Gristlebrand, 2 Obsidian Ghost Council, 2 Angel Serenity, and 2 Geist of St. Trath. It's an interesting choice. But yeah, lots of 2-ofs. As for like discard outlets, he actually isn't playing. Most of these decks usually play the Forbidden Alchemy type thing to set up the reanimation, but he just got Liliana straight up to discard, as well as some counter magic and some removal.
Liliana, actually a pretty big card in this matchup. A card that's actually, you know, trended downward and starting trending a little bit upward now because no one likes losing to bad hexproof ever,
right?
Which is completely understandable. And you know, you've seen Jund decks kind of move away from those, like maybe one in their main deck and a bunch in their sideboard. That's what you typically have been seeing as Mike is going to play a Fencing Ace, draw his card for the turn, and pass it back. So Mike's creatures in his hexproof deck, he has Invisible Stalker, Geist of St. Trath, Judge's Familiar, and Fencing Ace. Those are his 4-ofs, as you're going to see Thomas cast a Think Twice on the end of Michael's turn. And then he has 4 Spectral Flights, 4 Boros Charm, 4 Madcap Skills, 4 Ethereal Armor, 1 Gift of Orzhov, 2 Syncopates, and 2 Curiosities. So this is a much different deck than we're used to seeing.
Absolutely. And this has got to be his nightmare matchup, just looking at it.
It feels that way.
Liliana's Supreme Verdicts, far and away is the Edict side on that. Even the ultimate price for the Fencing Aces, the counter magic, and like the giant lifelinkers in Blood Baron, Gristlebrand, and even Obsidat to make it like impossible to race.
Yeah.
If Michael J can beat this matchup, then he can beat anything in the room, I'm pretty sure.
As you're going to see a flashback Think Twice here from Thomas Roth. He's going to draw the card that you just mentioned in Far and Away. And you also see an ultimate price in his hand right now as well. So things are going to be pretty tough here for Flores.
Yeah, he's definitely got his work cut out for him in this matchup. But you know, these hexproof decks, they seem to be able to weasel out of some pretty tight spots just by, you know, having like a really powerful sequence that lines up really well against what they have. So we'll have to see if he can make that happen. Looks like he's a bit on the flooded side for now, but this game's not ending anytime soon.
Yeah. And you see that, you know, he has like an Ethereal Armor and some other stuff in his hand that he's basically trying to catch Roth off guard with. You know, he's not suiting up any of his guys, and the reason for that is because he knows that he's just going to walk into a removal spell if he does that.
Yeah. Much rather save the auras for the hexproof creatures, a little more resilient, get a little more value out of them by waiting. Flores deciding now, is it getting to the point where he has to pull the trigger? He hasn't really drawn anything. He decides to just attack, but I mean, you know, with no real pressure, it's going to be hard for him to win here, and he knows it. Bunch of lands and a couple auras.
You know, this is kind of the problem with this deck, which we've seen in the past, is that, you know, sometimes it'll draw a creature, sometimes it'll draw guys, but if it's able to find the magical combination, the deck's actually pretty good. But again, as you said, this might be his worst matchup in the room, because Far and Away, Supreme Verdict, even Ultimate Price, as Flores is just going to keep drawing lands and putting them into play.
Well, yeah, I'm pretty sure if Michael J could, like, Gitaxian probe Thomas Roth right now, he'd just scoop.
Yeah.
If he just saw his hand and like compared it to his own, he'd realize that he is very, very thin to win. Drown Yard's a pretty cute card because you can actually Drown Yard yourself if you have the Obsidian aid but not a thing, or you can just use it as a straight up win condition. And that looks like the route he's going to go here.
So he's going to drown Michael J to find 2 lands and a Spectral Flight. So, you know, that's pretty important. Because now I think Roth has like a better idea of what's going on when you see Spectral Flight.
Yeah, the Fencing Ace is like, something's up here, but once you see Spectral Flight, you know, it's confirmed in your mind. You're like, okay, I know exactly what I'm playing against, and I know exactly what I need to do.
Yeah. Flores draws a Glacial Fortress. He's going to pass the turn back. You see his hand right now. He has a Spectral Flight, a Ethereal Armor, and a Boros Charm to go along with more lands. Mill there from the Valley Drown Yard gives you a Geist of St. Trath and a Judge's Familiar, among others. So, you know, Roth could be milling himself to maybe try to set up an Obsidian's Aid, but he doesn't have Obsidian's Aid in his hand right now, so there's not a ton of reason to do that, I think.
Yeah, just clock him. I mean, you have all the answers in the world, all the time in the world. You know, you're not exactly threatened by an owl.
Are you sure about that?
Pro Tour playable card.
Yeah, don't tell Wesco that Judge's Familiar can't get the job done, because he'll prove to you otherwise.
It's a little worse on, you know, turn 12 when neither of you have missed a land drop.
Well, we weren't supposed to get that far. That was the point. We were never supposed to get to this point. So here, it looks like he's sacrificing, if I'm correct, it is, yes. He has 1 Evolving Wilds in his deck for a little bit of mana fixing.
Sure. I mean, his mana base is like a bunch of basics and the Ravnica duels, and the 1 Evolving Wilds and 2 Drown Yards, but like a lot of basics and the wilds over the like M10 duels. I don't know what to call those.
I call them it's like the buddy system duels.
Yeah, those lands. Just, you know, all of his lands come into play untapped, basically, if he wants them to. Rather than, you know, it's so awkward when you have those draws that are like all Hinterland Harbors and Sun Petal Groves in your band deck, and you're like playing a turn behind. If you ever have one of those hands while on the draw, it's like you're going third, you know?
And Roth has finally drawn a way for him to really close this game a little bit faster. In Jace Memory Adept, we're going to see a mill of 10 cards here. And again,
he got a little bored with the Drown Yard. He's like, let's get this over with, you know.
And see, now, you know, it's kind of interesting, and I bring this up a decent amount of, you know, when you should concede versus when you shouldn't concede. Because now, you know, a mill 10, Roth gets to see those cards, and now, you know, if there was ever like anything in his head that was like, maybe I'm not quite sure what he's doing, now he knows for sure.
He knows the archetype for sure. Also, he knows like the configuration of what auras and what creatures are being played. He's got a better idea of sort of shaping his opponent's 60 in his mind, and I mean, it is something to talk about, but I will tell you from experience, Michael J does not concede.
Yeah.
He plays it to the bitter end. You know, he could be facing lethal, hellbent and tapped out, and he'd make you attack him.
And the other thing, too, is that now, you know, Flores gets to take a look and see some other cards.
Yeah.
You know, so there is that, you know, equity of I get to see some cards from my opponent's deck, so now I get to see that you have Far and Away in your deck, so there's a small thing as well, which if I'm him, I don't want to know that.
I'd rather just live in blissful denial.
Yeah, there's no, who would play Far and Away? That card's not even good. Why would you play it?
Yeah, I mean, like, I guess that is definitely a thing, right? Like, once you play the Fencing Gates, and especially once the Spectral Flight is seen, then the jig is up and it doesn't really matter what you show, but what your opponent shows could be relevant.
Yeah.
So that is definitely a good point.
So we see another mill for 10 here. Going to show off a bunch of cards, Boros Charms and Friends. So here's all that information for Roth as he's milling away. Going to get a little count here, see how many cards he got left. Looks like we're around underneath 15.
We should get like a graphic that shows like poison status, cards in library.
Yeah, that'll be perfect.
Yeah, just clutter the screen
so
up with
no
all
one
of
can
these.
see anything. A lot of exclamation points, some of it neon pink, neon green. It'll just be a great viewing experience for everyone at home, as Thomas Roth is going to win game number 1 here with this Esper Reanimator deck over Michael Flores, playing blue, white, red hexproof. And again, this is going to be a pretty tough match for Mike to win. We'll take a look at his sideboard and see what he can do to fix it. As you said, he has the Boros Reckoner Blasphemous Act combo, 4 Reckoners and 3 Blasphemous Acts. But again, I think that's going to be pretty difficult to actually assemble in this matchup because the Esper deck has so much removal. 3 copies of Gift of Orzhova, 3 copies of Nearhealth Pilgrim, and 2 negates. So, I mean, negates come in. Something leaves, like, you know, maybe like the 2 Syncopates because they're just better than Syncopate.
No,
maybe the Gift.
Yeah, I was gonna say probably just cutting auras because they're just not good.
Yeah,
there's just too many edicts.
Yeah, Mike needs to draw Geist of St. Trapped and Invisible Stalker. He needs to draw Hexproof guys, and he needs for Thomas either to A, not draw Supreme Verdict, or B, don't draw like Far and Away.
Yeah, the problem is he's got 6 edicts and 3 wraths. Is
that a lot of those?
It's a big chunk of the deck to fade.
Yeah.
Not to mention, like, actual control cards as well, you know, counters and planeswalkers and removal and stuff.
Nobody said it was gonna be easy. Well, at least Thomas doesn't have, like, more cards to sideboard in, right? Right? I hope for Mike's sake.
He's got, like, scatters and negates. So actually, and D-spheres, I guess, are probably okay. So he does. It's not like he's boarding in, you know, on top of everything else. Also, like, what's the Renouncer multicolor? Renounce the guilds.
Are like Barter and Blood.
Yeah. 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 He boards in like Swamps and Mutilate and.
Yeah, that'd be worst case scenario, I think.
And he also has his own 2 copies of Geist of St. Traff.
Just a legend rule?
Yeah, because the legend rule still, they did change it, but that doesn't go into effect for a couple months, I think, until M14 is released.
Yeah, it happens in July.
Yeah, so Geist still answers Geist for now, and he does have 2 copies of his own Geist. This is just a comical nightmare matchup.
Yeah. All right, Mike, your back is against the proverbial wall right now. Yeah, I understand that you have the Shake Shack shirt on, and I've heard that place is delicious.
Oh, it's amazing.
Yeah.
I recognized the logo. I couldn't remember what it was. Shake Shack is very good.
But it's good.
So if you're Thomas Roth, you start like trash talking here. You're like, hey man, who do you think the beatdown is in this matchup? What's the philosophy of fire, equation for a Geist of St. Traff? How does that calculate out?
Where's the closest Shake Shack to here that should be visiting after this match? Yeah, no, I would not do that.
Yeah, so your deck kind of seems like a miser's deck. You ever think about putting a guide together for it? I know you're a writer. Is that something you consider? Or?
It's gonna be a tough one here for Mike. That's. I mean, at least he got nice glasses.
Yeah, I mean, Flores looking styling. He's always, he's always got like a sweet deck. He shows up, bathed, and he's got his little like side thing. He's a professional.
Yes, in every sense of the word.
He shows up, and like one of my favorite parts of any tournament is when Flores just like pulls me off to the side and starts like spouting random theory like thought experiments to me, because he just like blows my mind, and then he just like walks away.
Yeah, like nothing happened.
And I'm just like sitting there like pondering like existentially, who I am as a person and like how magic actually functions, and he's just like, sipping on a water.
I'm out of here.
Yeah.
You think about that. I'm gonna go play my match. So Michael J is going to be on the play this game. If you guys are just joining us, Cedric Phillips, AJ Soccer here in the booth. Starship Games Open Series has made its way to Baltimore, Maryland. Next week we're going to be in sunny St. Louis. Joey Pasco, Adam Prozac will be doing the coverage for you guys there. But we've got what's important to a lot of people. We have Standard and we got Legacy.
Yeah.
This weekend.
Yeah.
For you party people. This weekend in Baltimore.
It's been forever since we got to.
I feel like it's been a little while for Legacy too. I missed it last weekend.
Yeah.
If you guys want to join in on the conversation at SCG Live, hashtag SCGBALT. Join in on Twitter with us, checking your tweets as Michael J is going to take a mulligan. Is Thomas Roth going to keep? He looks happy.
I'm keeping. I can read lips.
Yeah, which makes Michael unhappy.
Yeah, I mean, Flores is a genius and all, but this is like, I can't even, with a straight face, like this matchup is just comical.
Yeah,
like,
when it's bad, it's bad.
If Michael J, like, if I was challenged to like a heads-up match for $1 million, right?
Okay.
And he, like, so it leaked that he was playing that deck, I would play very close to this list. Like, that's how bad this matchup is.
Yeah, the only thing that Thomas Roth doesn't have is like Devour Flesh.
Yeah.
That's what's missing.
Yeah.
Michael J is going to keep his 7. We are underway in game number 2 here between Flores and Roth. Roth is going to play an island, passes the turn back. Michael J draws a Boros Charm, has no creature, which means this might be Geist of St. Traff land. You see him pull Syncopate forward.
Do you know the story of Geist of St. Traff?
I don't.
Okay.
Is there a story?
Yeah. Well, I'm not going to tell you.
Okay, good talk. Here's a Cliff Top Retreat. Here's your Judge's Familiar.
So Judge's Familiar is a card that Flores actually talked to me about before, or as the tournament. Ooh, Syncopate for value on the Think Twice.
All right.
I mean, that's how you win this matchup, right?
I mean, you have to get lucky to win.
Your opponent misses his 3rd land drop. Or is missing a color or something. That's how you win this matchup.
Yeah.
I absolutely love that Syncopate from Flores. Normally countering Think Twice is like pretty horrible, but he literally can't win unless he does that.
Yeah.
I actually really, really like that play, and Geist of St. Traff is the follow-up. And this is what I was going to say. Ooh, brutal. The untapped land, I have to assume this is Supreme Verdict.
Yeah, he didn't have a 2nd white mana. He had to peel that Hallowed Fountain.
Brutal. And the Think Twice theoretically could have helped stop that, but really good line from Flores. Didn't work out for him. He's got he's got to follow up, and Thomas Roth is still missing black. He's got a Geist of his own, which doesn't actually answer an Invisible Stalker. They pass like 2 ships in the night,
Yeah.
He's also got a Jace, which I guess is...
I think it's another Verdict.
Does he really?
Yeah. Yep. Whew.
He slammed that thing, too.
Hey, you got to get your trade on. All right, there's a Fencing Ace. All right.
Fencing ace, I mean, you know.
And hey, Flores has a Spectral Flight in his hand.
And there's a black source.
Roth draws a black land, but you know he has Liliana of the Veil.
Double black?
What do we got here? Do we have Jace now?
Jace, I think. Hase. Big Daddy, Memory Adept.
All right. Jace Memory Adept is going to resolve. So we're going to draw a card. Who are we going to mill? Mill Mike, draw black land, I think. Yep.
All right. So now he does have the double black.
Back-to-back Watery Graves. Mike's got to move in.
He's got the Obsidian's Aid, which makes me think that he probably should have just targeted himself.
Oh, he's going to kill. See, I don't. I'm not a big fan of that play.
You just attack him?
Yeah, you just have. I mean, you have to get lucky.
Yeah, I agree.
So you just go upstairs to him and just literally cross your fingers.
I agree. There's like a chance that he has like another Jace in his hand that like completely makes your attack worthless.
Yeah.
And you theoretically have him have a dead card. Sadly, the Edict from Liliana does not get prevented by the indestructibility of the Boros Charm and a Geist of Saintcraft of his own.
Yeah, we're gonna try to close this game out real fast.
Oh man, he has the Boros Charm Olivia. That is not good.
Yeah, and here's a Cavern Souls pass the turn back. That's the thing with the Planeswalkers in this matchup. You just have to ignore.
Yeah.
Like, you know, what if Mike just draws, and this is completely unreasonable, what if he just drew 4 Boros Charms in a row?
Yeah.
You know, and it's just like, I won a game that I could, like, otherwise not win.
Yeah.
You know, and that's the point. That's the reason I wanted him to go upstairs with that fencing ace, is because, you know, Roth would be at 9. Then, you know, he would have drawn Liliana, sacrificed the guy, Boros Charm puts him to 5. Maybe he draws running Boros Charms or something. You know,
yeah, maybe he can apply enough pressure that his opponent like needs to play an untapped land. He can like get the incidental damage with like a Judge's Familiar randomly attacking. You know.
Yeah, when you have to get lucky, that you have to make ridiculous lines of play.
Yeah, you have to let yourself get lucky.
Yeah.
you have to open up those doors, as unlikely as they may seem. What I was going to say way on like turn 2 was Michael J. Flores said that Judge's Familiar actually overperforms because of the fact that not only does it like slow down, you know, some of the removal spells by a turn sometimes, but it also is just a flag bearer for edict effects. It just soaks up the edict effect. It's just a 1 mana thing to get edicted, and since it's a 1 mana multicolor spell, thanks to it being hybrid, it actually eats Renounce the Guilds as well.
Oh, okay.
Which is obviously super important when you're trying to kill a Geist of Saintcraft.
Yeah, I agree. You see Slayer Stronghold off the top there for Mike. That's his land for the turn. Roth is going to play a Godless Shrine. He's going to pass back. We're going to get a mill for 10 and attack for 6 more. Going to put Flores down to 2. Flores already grabbing his deck, prepared to mill 10 more cards. There's 10 more in the bin.
So now all he needs is like a Battle of Wits and a bigger library, and like a Feldhar Sovereign and 30 life, and
Mortal Combat, 20 creatures in the graveyard.
Right.
Helix Pinnacle, 100 counters.
Yeah, the Maze's End and the 10 mazes.
10 Guild Gates, yep.
The green one where you have to control like 20 creatures.
Yeah, I remember that. That's the one I don't remember the name of. I didn't want to bring it up. Epic Struggle.
Epic Struggle.
Says our director.
There you go.
And that's what this match was for Mike. Thomas Roth does win this one pretty easily, 2-0 over Michael Flores playing Blue-Red Hexproof.